All right, so you've got your mortgage pre-approval and you're ready to start viewing properties. Now, I have my properties mug with me today. And so let's chat about some of the things to keep in mind before you start your viewings. Now, I know I say that every part of property searching is the fun bit, but trust me, this one's especially fun. So I'll share some of my own stories as we go too to make it that much more exciting. So as a realtor, I want to tour the properties that you're interested in so I can get a better feel for what you're looking for. So at the start, don't worry about asking your agent to view a property you're curious about. After all, finding out what you don't want in a property can be just as helpful as finding out what you do want. As your search progresses, then it tends to narrow, so give yourself some time and space to explore your options before you get really serious about any particular property. I've had so many first-time buyers get antsy and want to offer on the first house they see. Take your time, enjoy the process. You'll likely notice that what you're looking for will evolve over time, and that can be a really good thing because you'll end up with more of the things that you want and maybe have less regret later. On the flip side, just because a property has something you don't want doesn't mean it won't work for you. There may be something about it that you really like, and maybe that pro outweighs one or more of the cons. The winning property tends to hold a balance between what you want and maybe has a little bit of what you don't want to. Exploring different areas can help you with this decision because if it's in a location that you're really after, then you may be willing to accept more of the cons in your opinion. So check out the shops, parks, trails, public transit, the amount of street parking, and whatever's important to you to get a good feel for the general location. Is there one particular area that feels like home to you or logically makes the most sense? Gather the information and do what feels right for you. So when I've chosen where to live in the past, I've paid attention to the neighborhoods I've naturally gravitated toward. Those places were the places that I was excited to meet friends for coffee or go for walks, because I liked the neighborhood's vibe, and who am I kidding, I probably liked the architecture too, and just the way that the area made me feel. I would end up in these same neighborhoods over and over again, so it just made sense to see if I could find a place to live near there. And guess what? I've done this a few times and it's never steered me wrong, so if I have any bit of advice, it's just live your life, see where you end up, and if you're in a neighborhood often, try to live in it or near it. Okay, so you've come across a property in a location that you habitually gravitate to, and let me tell you, if you're really interested though in that property, then tell your realtor right away, like right now. Send them a text, call them, whatever. Properties don't always stay on the market for very long. So if you want a shot at one that you really like, sometimes you have to act fast. Once you're physically there with your feet on the ground for your first viewing, I want you to focus on one thing and one thing alone. And that is, how does the property make you feel? Does it feel like a place you may like to live? This may not be apparent right away, and sometimes you need to sleep on it, but as you've probably figured out by now, I consider the feeling component of finding a home and a place where you're gonna live to be a pretty big deal. So make sure you feel into it and you feel as though it's the right thing to do. And that goes the same with your offer, but we'll get there. So if you get a nagging feeling after your first viewing that you need to return to a property and homes aren't flying off the market, then return for a second viewing. And to that one, I want you to bring a keen eye. So this second viewing is typically when you'll really consider how the property will work for you and what kind of condition it's in and what upgrades you may want to make or need to make. Also, it's good to note what is included and excluded with the property so that you know exactly what you're buying. And also, if you can, chat with the neighbors in the area. Their opinions can be so valuable to you, and you'll also get a sense for how friendly they'll be if you end up being their neighbor. From there, you may want to decide to make an offer, think about it for a while, or move on to explore other properties. Either way, tell your real estate agent what you did and didn't like about the property because it can be really tough to read minds. Okay, let's back up for a second. Technically, you don't need to bring anything with you when you're going to view properties with your realtor, but there are a few things that I think are really nice to have. And the first one is hand sanitizer, because even if a place looks nice and clean in the photos, you could be in for quite the surprise. Sometimes photos are edited to make them look cleaner and may not pick up on the cracks on the walls, the smells, and so on. So to avoid having grimy hands, just trust me, bring the hand sani. You'll thank me later. So next, you'll want to be wearing shoes or boots that are easy to slip on and off, because wearing complicated footwear can get really frustrating when you're dancing around 4 or 5 foyers in a row. It's just never fun. Skip the knee-high lace-ups, okay? Of course, make sure your cell phone is charged and you have it on you. I suggest using the map to get a bird's eye view of the area and what's around. Flashlight comes in really handy when there's a light bulb burnt out in the basement and you can't see a darn thing. And also the Notepad app can be helpful for jotting down what you liked and didn't like, which is especially handy when you're viewing a few different properties that look similar, because they tend to kind of blur together in your memory. So it's good to take notes. Lastly, maybe it's just me, but whenever I hit the road, I get so hungry. So you'll be surprised by how much energy popping into 4 homes in the span of 2 hours can actually take. So be prepared, bring your snacks to munch on and some water or coffee or tea for the car rides in between viewings. Once you've viewed a few properties, I'd love to hear whether you have a pre or post property viewing ritual, like going for a walk in the neighborhood, grabbing some donuts or coffee, going out for dinner. Or maybe you have a story about finding a home or apartment that just felt right. I love hearing these types of stories because they make the whole home soul connection so strong, and it's just the part that I love the most about this. I love helping people find a home and property that is so connected to who they are as people and that they'll really thrive in. So feel free to leave a home related story in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.